In the house. Well, what we'll do sometimes we're running also we'll run a DJI with some other mics, and then just if I don't think we're syncing it up, but just in case.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Mario's in the house, guys. Welcome to the Founders Lounge. So Mario and I, we actually connected years ago through a meta ad that he was running about running meta ads. Funny enough. And then I was early on in Headshot Professional, and then we just ran into each other at a small business expo. He's like, "Hey, man, are you Brett?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, what's up?" And we start chatting, and excited to have him here today. So, Galera Media, is that the pronunciation's right?
Galera Media.
Man, listen to that. It's Galera Media. No, it's not. Hey, Galera Media. So, you guys are going extensive in a lot. I mean, people don't even realize how much work goes into all this stuff. And a lot of people put a team together. They're putting the content together. Then you got to clip it. You got a distribution. I mean, there's so much going on. And you've got 5 kids now?
Yep.
5 kids. I don't know how this guy does it, man. He's a saint. God definitely has blessed you. So let's get into it, man. Let's just sort of dig in.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. Like, this place is legit awesome. I mean, we're in the podcast business and the YouTube business, and so we see a lot of sets, and there's a lot of crappy sets. This is not. This is great. I love the setup, and thanks for being willing to have me. Because I think like your podcast is like your baby. So like you do so much work for it, you take care of it, so you don't just like. At least for me, and I feel like it's the same for you. You don't just kind of like let anyone on for the sake of views. So I appreciate you for having me on, man.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, he's asking, do you rent this out? I'm like, nah, not really, man. We're just in here hanging out.
Yeah.
This is so I'm in with my business. So I do corporate headshots. It's pretty much an appointment business. And I had to move into a retail center a couple years ago. Been here I've been here over 1 year now. So a little over a year ago, I'm in a retail center. This was a CBD shop. And this was the showroom, but my business is the opposite. Everything's in the back. So this was just empty. I had a couple mannequins in here, and my wife's like, "What are you doing with these mannequins in the front? It's weird." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a showroom. I don't have any. We do corporate headshots." And I was like, maybe I'll shoot traditional photography and get some samples and albums. And then I started doing that, and I was like, no way, man. I'm a B2B kind of person. I mean, we do some retail for personal branding, but it's still kind of business oriented. It's not really like a picture of your high school graduation or things, and I'm not going to be trying to sell you albums. I'm like, look, we're just going to hook you up. You get the digital files. If you want to print them, you're welcome to print them, which is kind of against the grain in photography, the way the business models work, but for us, it works pretty well.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, all right, what can I do with this space in the front? And there was a TV station closing, and it had all this equipment for sale, and I was like, I'm just going to do a podcast, let me grab this gear, set it up, and get this thing going. And then this is where I think where a lot of what you come in is I was doing it, filmed several episodes after already investing a hunk of money into this, and was like, wow, I don't have the time. I don't have the manpower. I have a couple of assistants. We already have a primary business. They're busy. We're all busy. You know what I mean? We're working day to day. And I love talking to people, but then when it comes to clipping all this, editing everything, distribution, putting it out, setting up multiple accounts, I mean, it's a whole lot. So then recently connected with Alex with Yellow Nerd, and now he's taking up a hunk of that. We're able to get the distribution out a lot better. But then I was excited to have you come out and talk about this, because I think a lot of people have in their mind like, oh, man, I would love to do that. Yeah, you'd love to do it, but then it's a lot of work involved, and behind the scenes that people don't realize. And AI isn't at the point yet where you're just like, hey, man, let me throw this in some AI clipper that automatically. It ain't that easy, guys. Just sorry if I don't want to ruin, pop your bubble, your dream of doing all this, but it still takes work. A lot of the people you see online that are successful have huge teams. It's not just a one-man operation. Even us, we were in here in the beginning. I'm doing this by myself. I'm setting up the lighting. We got a camera switcher doing all the auto camera switching. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of ranting on, but this is a hunk of work that I don't think people realize, even if they have a team and they're putting it together. So like, how are you really capitalizing and helping people out right now?
Yeah. So, and there's 2 different areas where if you're going to do podcasting, you have the audio side, right? Which that is a whole animal in itself. But then you have the video side. You have the YouTube podcast. You have the whole video production. Like, that is a beast, especially if you care about your brand. You want it done really well. You don't want to just throw up an iPhone and see what happens. So there is a lot that goes into it. What we really like to do is everything from as soon as the file is recorded, as soon as you have the raw footage, then you upload it to us and we take care of the rest. Because there is a whole lot that YouTube actually cares about. That, if you just upload something, there's no guarantee it's going to get a bunch of views, which that's what we all want, right? Well, I'll take that back. The vanity metrics are views, but the true metrics are revenue.
Revenue and impact, depending on your mission. I mean, ultimately, we're all making money, but if you're out there trying to actually impact people, the money's going to follow too. You know?
Right. Because money is a byproduct of value, right? So if you care about the value of what you're putting out, the money will follow. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But that'll just be a natural byproduct is the money, right? So, but we have to care about all the little things, and there's so many little things that YouTube cares about, right? YouTube cares about watch time. YouTube cares about, the titles. That way you can be found, right, more organically. There's a whole SEO component because that's what YouTube is really at the end of the day.
Yeah, you were mentioning. So this is basically it's an arm of Google. Mm-hmm. It's one of the largest search engines outside of Google is just for the actual YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is the second largest search engine, right? It's only second because it's owned by the largest, which is Google, right? But YouTube is just a video search engine for people to go and look up different things, answers, how-tos, instructions, value education. That's where people are going to, right? And so if you are adding value by putting out content, you want to make it just as searchable, right? So you have to have a Google, SEO mindset when it comes to uploading and titles and thumbnails and everything like that. So that's what makes it interesting because there's a whole SEO component, but then there's the video production side where we think about the editing, we think about the music, we think about the audios and the captions and the B-roll, and like we're combining the best of those two things, right? So it takes more than just a videographer to put this together, and it takes more than just, an SEO person to put this together. It takes really, someone who understands full post-production on YouTube from beginning to end. And that's where you were asking me about how to get involved, how to get started with this. My partner, Eric, he's a Marine Corps vet, and he worked for Patrick Bet-David when he got out of the Marines.
Okay. They knew each other in the service, or?
No. Are you familiar with PBD?
Yeah, I'm familiar. They have a podcast, the whole media thing now, but he's been doing YouTube forever.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time.
I know he was in the service. I was in the Navy, so I've seen that. He's got multiple. I mean, they have a whole media thing now down in Florida. But
Right. So whenever Eric got out of the Marine Corps, then he was like, dude, I want to be in media. Like, I want to work for that guy. He looks like he's successful. I want that. So he applied right out of the military, and he was like, I'll take the crappiest job. Whatever job you got, as long as I can work for you and learn from you, that's the job I want. So I think he went into social media management or social media sales, something like that, something regarding social media. But he started working with him, and he went from doing social media to running their entire production department. So all the interviews that you've seen with like Andrew Tate and Michael Francis and like all these videos that have millions of views, that was all Eric. From setting up all the equipment, traveling to these locations. Like Eric was in Andrew Tate's house when they
went to Bulgaria. Where was they?
Romania.
Yeah.
And then once they got the film, then literally from the time they left Andrew Tate's house to getting back to the States, they were uploading data, starting to edit. Like they had to have it ready for that following week, and so he was in charge of all that.
Well, even theirs is really time crunch too, because they're doing a lot of like current event based content as well. So it's really expedited. You got to knock that out.
Yeah,
I mean, they're basically like a daily news show now. I mean, a lot of their some of their stuff. I mean, maybe I think he's got a few different channels they're running, but
basically
that's pretty wild. So he was Patrick McDavid. I mean, that's a big league. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, they're one of the most popular shows now. I think on definitely for YouTube and distribution. So, but outside, so like for people out there, they want to do this. You can do your regular audio podcast. Our regular audio podcast, I mean, you've got Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the old traditional ones where this all started. Are those still well received? I mean, are views, are not viewership, but is listening still high level on that?
Yeah, it's still very popular, and it's not a waste of time to go into audio podcasting at all. I mean, downloads matter. Getting sponsorships through that matters. So that's all still really good to do. I mean, it's not a waste of time at all. But it's not.
The market's changed a bit. It's even like Instagram. So I'm a photographer. Instagram used to be just pictures. Mm-hmm. Then it came reels and video. And then even most people I know that are photographers that put photos out, they got hardly any impressions. There's hardly any interactions. This thing started as something that's kind of transitioned.
Right.
I feel like the content game in general, especially for podcasts, if you have the option, like so for me, so as a consumer, I'll watch YouTube some, but then I may not watch it, but I'm going to continue to listen. But I still want to occasionally look while I'm doing something else and see the visual. So I'll consume podcasts personally on YouTube, even though I may turn off the screen on my phone and still listen, but I have the option to look.
Right.
So I don't know. That's where I typically view podcasts personally. Now I don't want to have my own bias on that. So I mean, is there so for the distribution and everything else? You guys specialize more on the YouTube side. Or are there other video platforms that are competing at all with YouTube for video podcast? Or is there, I mean, Rumble is sort of another option when during all the censorship that was going on, right? Or
yeah.
Does Twitter have full time limits now for podcast types of things? Or where's the...
YouTube is still king. It's still king. Now you have the Rumbles, right? And, obviously you can make a little bit longer videos on Instagram now. You can go up to 3 minutes on Reels. You can do a live for I think as long as you need to. I don't know the exact limit,
live, man.
But you can do live, right? So those are still out there, but there's not many people that are going to Instagram looking for answers. They're going to YouTube looking for answers, right? YouTube is still king, but that's because that video is still king. That type of content is still more eye-catching, more helpful, especially now because we are so, I mean, I say we like I'm throwing everybody in there, but for the most part, I mean, we are very visual and our attention span is really, really short. Social media has had a lot to do with that and shortening our attention span. We want answers now. We need to see the answers. We need instructions to those answers. And so that's why video is more popular, right? And so...
Yeah, but I feel like, though, the people that are viewing, even for me, if I'm watching or listening to a podcast on YouTube or if I'm watching a video, I mean, I'm 45 years old, so I'm probably not the demographic of a younger person, but I will consume the whole thing. Hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, shoot, even the... I mean, I don't know how often I'll finish a whole Joe Rogan 3.5 hour podcast, but I'll see the clips that are maybe like 30 or 40 minutes. And then I have enough time to kind of listen to that if I'm driving around or something. So I think that's also beneficial. And even your content you're producing, cutting it up into bite-sized pieces, which could be the full thing, 10, 20-minute clips to even the 15, 30-second, 45-second clips to get people's attention. So, how do you guys help out with that? How do you sort of bridge that gap? And
so there's people that want specific things. There are people like you and me that want, man, I want to hear the full story from beginning to end. I like the show. I like the person. I like what you guys are talking about. I want to hear the full thing. So you have your committed fan base, right, for shows that you want to make sure you put on a good production for the full thing. So you have those. But then you have your people who are looking for specific talking points, specific value points, maybe news, something that's trending. And that's why you release clips. That's why you do up to 5-8 minute clips of a particular portion of a podcast.
So that's currently the sweet spot.
Right.
It's kind of 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 8 minutes is really solid. Your average, and it all depends on your watch time, which is why analytics is so important. And that's what I think helps separate us is we don't just say what's trending and what we think you should do based on our preference. We tell people, let's look at the data. Where are you losing people?
Are you getting a huge drop off in viewership? Are people tuning out at this point?
Right. It's because you're talking about this, or you said this particular word, or we're transitioning this way, or whatever the thing is. We need to avoid that and give your audience what they want and give them what they came to you to get. Right.
Well, let's go a different direction for a second. So, there's a lot of talk about audience, building an audience, and then even Gary Vaynerchuk, old school. He's always getting into the questions or into the comments and getting into the nitty gritty and really communicating with people. But at the end of the day, a lot of what you're producing is going to be sort of on a topic or a genre. To an extent, I think for most people that are smaller content creators, unless you're huge. You can't, if you're all over the place, I don't think it's going to benefit you, or is it? I mean, I don't know. Let me correct me if I'm wrong, and then I don't know. I mean, there's so many directions we can go in with this. Let's go for an area here. So for people that are looking at producing content right now beyond just short form content, where do people begin in starting with the long form content? I mean, is a podcast format the main thing, or there's long form like talking head videos?
Yeah, so there's really two major ones. There's podcasting, long form conversations, right? And there's monologues. Monologues are fantastic. Actually, we have a client of ours who has a huge channel, over 600,000 subscribers on his channel. He makes a lot of money. He's very, very popular and in high demand. And we were having dinner with him after a shoot one day, and he was like, "Guys, don't overlook the monologue. It's coming back. people, like it's trending that direction again because people want to talk to a person and they want to learn from a person, connect with the person, because obviously that's what the digital world creates. It gives you the sense of connectedness, but you're not really connected, right? So that's why monologues are becoming increasingly more popular, and podcasts are actually trending down, believe it or not. The only reason why is because it's weeding out all of those that aren't consistent and who try podcasting versus those that actually commit to their audience to do podcasts, right? So that's the only reason why. But monologues are so popular. Talking to a camera directly about a specific thing is so popular. Now, regardless of whether it's a podcast or a monologue, it is important to niche down. Like it is important to figure out who you are, what value you're offering, and to who, right? And what you're giving them in return of them watching you. That is so important because, let's just say you're going into, sports, right? I don't know, I like basketball. I'm a fan of basketball. I hate what they did to my boy Luka. Hate that. Hurts.
Yeah, we're here in DFW, guys, if you don't know. So we're here in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Hurts my heart. I'm still upset about it. I'm still bitter about it. But if you're going into sports, we need to pick a subgenre of sports. Are you doing play-by-play reviews? Are you doing sports news about what's happening, maybe with trades of sports or leagues? Like we need to pick a subgenre and niche down because people don't want generic, right? People want specific, right? And that's where you're going to get more loyalty is when you niche down and have a specific audience. When you do that long enough, then you can go and be the Joe Rogans where you have, an MMA guy, an alien guy, a mushroom guy all in the same week.
But at the same time, you still have certain things that you know of him about.
Right. You still, because how he started was what he focused on, right? He focused on, MMA. And I'm not a Joe Rogan history expert, so don't hate me for this. But, he's known for MMA. Right, he's a great commentator when it comes to that. He had a lot of fighters that he interviewed. Right, so for you're interviewing founders. Right, that's great. You're interviewing people who have started companies, who run companies, and that's great. As soon as you deviate to someone who is a part-time painter, I don't know, your audience is going to react differently to that. And more importantly, the YouTube algorithm is going to get confused when it tries to recommend you from things you've been consistent about. As soon as you deviate, then it's like, wait, what are they doing? I thought they were doing founders. They were doing SEO work over this.
So if you have a different interest or things, because also part of what we do, like for my personal side, is personal branding. There's things that we're going to go into more. So I need to have a separate channel basically, so that the algorithm has a different audience and it knows not to be confused. Mm-hmm. So like this is sort of a joint effort. A massive joint effort here with Alex. So with YOLO Nerd. So we're doing this together because we both kind of have similar clients and it was a similar base to be able to communicate with. And then if I'm doing something different, more going into personal branding or looking better online, it should be a completely separate channel.
Yeah. You want to niche down enough. So I'll give you an example. Andrew Bustamante, who is a former CIA spy, he has a main channel. Where there's a lot of clips.
The guy, he's got long curly hair.
Yep, long poofy hair.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him talking on a bunch of those podcasts.
Yeah, he went on a massive podcast tour, and he still does, and it's great. He's such a cool guy. Like he's such a cool guy. He doesn't treat you like he's got tons of money, tons of followers. Like he doesn't treat you that way. He's so down to earth. But anyways, he's got a main channel for his main brand. Then he's got a podcast channel, and it's called Everyday Spy. That's a specific podcast channel. And then he has Everyday Journal. And then he's got channels.
So he has multiple channels just within his own personal media content he's producing.
Yes.
Plus he's going around touring around.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And so that's the cool thing. So let's think of Patrick Bet David now. He's got Valuetainment, where traditionally it was known for business, sales, finance, because he ran a company called PHP, big finance guy, right? Insurance. So then it turned into Valuetainment, right? But then he has the PBD podcast, which is where he can talk about whatever he wants to talk about because it's the PBD podcast.
What's the one for him where there's the four guys that are all there together?
The PBD podcast.
That is the PBD podcast.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like current events. They talk about all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
But then I see some stuff where he's talking head, where he has his own, and that's probably a different channel or different clips or things. I'll see him sometimes. Yeah. I don't really look. I need to look at all that stuff.
So, and that's the cool part is that you can repurpose certain things as it pertains to that channel. So he can make something that's Valuetainment specific, but if it relates to the PBD podcast,
you can also repurpose that content. You got the rights to it. You can repurpose it. You can put it in different areas, different distribution.
And back and forth. And the cool thing is that when we talk about channels, we think about branding and we think about, content that we're feeding to our audience. But if you think about it from the business side, when you grow things to that size, you've got 2 streams of revenue now, right? You've got one channel if it has 500,000 subscribers, another channel that has 300,000 subscribers. They're both generating money from Google AdSense or maybe some sponsors or maybe product sales that you're pushing through each one. You've got 2 revenue generators, right? So that's really cool. And so you want to feed that audience and you want them to remain loyal by giving them what they want, which means we don't confuse the content. So we have 2 really good revenue streams if you're looking at it from a business sense.
Well, like for people that are monetizing, you've got AdSense, which is just the ads on there. You have a lot of times they'll sell merch or whatever. I even see PVD, they're selling hats all the time or shirts or things. A lot of people have merch. You could also, if you have a service or your own thing, like he's not selling insurance anymore. He's not like, hey, sign up for my insurance or anything. But so most of their stuff is going to be either ad revenue or or actual sponsorship. So that's where you get like a brand partnership sort of thing. Like I see Elements on everybody's podcast, or the electrolyte powder stuff. Everybody's like, hey, Element, I love that stuff. So you've got different levels where it could be AdSense, YouTube just running their own ads. You may have an actual brand partnership or like Tucker Carlson, he'll just do his own commercial in the middle of his podcast and read out whatever gold thing or who knows what, there's so many people. So there's different areas. You can have AdSense, you have your own brand partnership, and then you could also have your own service or merch thing. So there's a lot of different ways to monetize it, and a lot of that's going to be based off of your how long your viewership time is, or that also they allow. When you're putting in your thing, you can allow so many AdSense ads, or you may even disable it, or how's the on the back end, like where's the sweet spot, like where you're not overrunning any. Like I pay for YouTube where I don't see ads personally, so I don't even see a lot of the ads that are on there.
So this is, I think, the best part about what me and Eric do, because we want people to have a return on investment. We want people to feel like when they put their time, effort, and money into YouTube, that it's going to yield a return. Because some people do it and they get burnt out because they don't see a return. Some, not all. Some people are so mission focused that they do it regardless of the money, and that's great, right? But let's at least have it pay for itself. Let's at least make sure that we're not drowning financially from running a show, right? And so that's where Eric and I come in, where we'll tell you, here's the best way that you can make money on the channel versus just editing. Editors are a dime a dozen. That's great. You need editors. But editors don't care about the result of the channel. Editors care about giving you a good product, which they should, but we care about giving you a good product that performs and that you can use as leverage for the watch time so you can get money and have the channel be paid for, right? So that's what we care about. That's what we focus on. So anyways, yes, Google AdSense revenue, that's what Google will pay you for the amount of people that are watching, right? And really, that's like pennies. That's like Google AdSense. Like no one's really fired up about Google AdSense dollars. Now, when you're making 10, 13, 15 grand on Google AdSense, that's great, right? It's not like I'm not going to give it back to Google. I'm going to keep it, right?
We're going to turn the AC down a couple degrees.
Right. So, that's great. We're always going to want that, and that's awesome. And we'll help you maximize that stuff. But where the bigger dollars come in, the dollars that you want to have, are going to come from second, your sponsorships, and then first, your own product sales, right? That is that will help people. Like if you have a 10,000 subscriber YouTube audience that is super niche and loyal, you can make more money off of selling a product or service to that audience than having 1 million subscribers of random people, not loyal. Your content's everywhere. You're relying only on Google AdSense, and it's not going to be the same outcome, right? So, yeah, sponsors are phenomenal, and I'll tell you some examples of some people that we've seen that do a phenomenal job. That you bang your head up against the wall, and you're like, "Wow, I can't believe I didn't think of this." But sponsors are fantastic. There's a threshold though. There's a requirement, right? You're going to need. If you want to confidently go to sponsors and say, hey, I bring an audience, I'll do some ad reads and get you guys into the show, you're going to want minimum 30, 40,000 views per episode or per release.
Okay, every release
of your long form.
You're making sure you're getting on the long form at least 30, 40,000 impressions or things. That data, the views, that metric, they're tracking that.
Yep. You're going to want at least 30 to 40,000 views in order to have a good shot at saying, hey, sponsorship company or company A, we get 30,000 views per long form episode. We're doing 2 of those a week. That's 60,000 people that are going to see this ad more than likely. We'll charge you X amount of dollars to do that, right? And there's even agencies out there. It's crazy. There's whole agencies that will get all those relationships together for you. Right? We have a good friend named Aaron Randolph who has a sponsorship agency, and
they'll get your actual placement. They're almost like a media buyer, the old school traditional television media buyer. They're like, listen, we're going to get you placed on this podcast. That's a good demographic. It's matching your brand. Let's do that.
Exactly. So sponsorships are a great way, as long as you feel like, as the creator and as the person who's building the brand, as long as you feel like what's being promoted is in line with your brand, that it doesn't compete or that it's not going to give you a bad reputation. Like, if as a business driven podcast, like if we're pushing some, I don't know, just name it. We're pushing something that you don't agree with. You don't really want to be tied into that, right? And that's why some people don't prefer sponsorships. They don't want to be connected with a company that may have a bad product or whatever, right? So those people, they revert to pushing their own product, their own digital product, a $7 ebook, a $99 subscription to a monthly masterclass and mastermind, right?
Well, that's a huge thing I see now. This, even for like what I'm doing, Alex keeps talking to me, you need a monthly subscription model. I'm like, we do corporate branding for headshots. We do C-suite stuff. So we have recurring clients where they need new hires or they need pictures, but it's not really like a membership site or running things like on a school platform or, Kajabi. I could see like if you definitely have someone who is really an influencer in the sense for long form content that has a community that they built. And there's people I see all the time. They are like, hey, man, come and join us. We can sit here. We have more, like you have live call once a week or something. It depends on what it is. It could be health and fitness. It could be relationship advice. I see that could be pretty successful because you're giving all these gyms all the time. They're sharing content. And they're like, man, I want to have more access to that person.
Exactly.
Or, that's something I see even like, I think some of these guys, the PPD, they do also live events. They produce these huge live events. And then they allow people also to have like VIP access or to go in and do, I think they smoke cigars, drink whiskey or whatever. And like there's things like that side of it as well, to where they're building community beyond just the virtual world. They're doing actually in-person events too.
Right. And that really is that. This is the power, like what we're talking about. This is the power of YouTube, because let's say you're not selling a subscription. Let's say you're just building a community. Let's say you have a Patreon, right? Hey, everyone who signs up for our monthly Patreon gets access to our exclusive community, and you get extra content, exclusive content. Maybe behind the scenes banter before the show, or once the show ends, talk after the show, or hey, here's a day in the life, whatever exclusive content people are looking for from you, they can get access to that, let's say via a Patreon. But you build that community, right? And then you offer them something like, hey, I'm doing a whatever event to help business owners go to the next level in their revenue, in their personal development, whatever niche you're deciding to choose, right? But that is another way to monetize that audience. But you got to build the audience, right? But there's so many different ways that you could do it. It's just a matter of picking it and sticking to it. That is, I think, where people get lost, is that they want to do a mastermind, they want to do a course, they want to do subscription, they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do so many things. They're making little revenue in each of those things versus having one thing, right? Let's go back to Andrew Bustamante. You can find on every single video that he puts out, every single video, and we know this because we do these videos, but every single video he puts out, he has the same link. And you can find that same link on any other person's podcast channel that he's been on, that same link. It's a quiz funnel, which is genius.
All right, I've seen. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a quiz funnel.
So it's a cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like his pitches will kind of inspire you, right? And then when you find out what kind of spy that person is or relates to, then he has automations that feed them content based off of what's more relevant to them, right? Which it goes to product pushes, etc. So, anyways. He has that same link on his channel, and everyone else's videos that he's been on, he has that same link. It's the main driver. That's it. That's all he's pushing. And I'll tell you the the number offline. But online, I'll tell you, he's not hurting for money because he focuses on one thing. Creating.
So that's his offer.
That's his offer.
CTA basically.
It's just one thing, right?
That link is sort of they may not even be a direct CTA, but they see the link. They're like, I wonder. I click on that.
Exactly.
And then they go down the rabbit hole. But then through the Q&A, they're able to kind of put people into different targeted categories that's better.
And given the products that they'll more than likely buy.
That's pretty wild.
Based off of the quiz, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him guest on certain podcasts. I had no clue. I don't even know what his offer is. I have no clue. And I've seen him talk multiple times with multiple people. And
which is really cool.
I guess I've never clicked on the Q&A thing. I don't know.
Which is really cool about him because he's not super hardcore pushing you on his product. He's just creating good content that you're interested in, right? So that's what I love about him. He's not a salesperson. He's a former CIA spy. So there's definitely a lot of planning that he did when it comes to that, but he doesn't push it. But the results speak for itself. It's really cool. So having something to help you monetize is crucial, whether you want to use sponsorships, which is great. It offsets the product creation onto another company, right? Or you create your own product, like Andrew Bustamante, and you push that product. He doesn't have any sponsors that sponsor his show.
So his own personal show. I don't know if I've ever watched his personal show. I've seen him speak at other podcasts. So his own personal show, though, he doesn't take a break like, hey, this is brought to you. He just sits there and talks about whatever he's talking about. Do they turn off AdSense, or the AdSense is still on, or YouTube? Can you even disable that, or it's always going to be?
It's still running.
But you can choose how many spots or not with the AdSense side. Is there a level of that you can adjust?
There's a little bit of it you can adjust, maybe where it shows up, but it's gonna show up. Otherwise, it'll hurt your chances at how much revenue you make per video.
Unless you're premium. Like I have a premium, whatever it's called, the YouTube, where I don't get the ads on there.
Well, some of that revenue, if you're paying for premium, some of that revenue goes to creators anyways.
So it's wherever there, it's more of a pot that's divvied up. They see my viewership. It's like sharing tips, like a tip pool or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's a cool example that we've seen. We had a client at one time, Jeremy Miner. Are you familiar with him?
He's sales.
Yeah,
sales consultant type of
big time sales guy. I mean, 1 million followers on Instagram, huge sales company. But his sponsorships and his product is him. It's him. He has his black book of questions. It's basically a helping salespeople crush objections through all of the answers and scripts in this book.
And he's big about tonality too, how you phrase things. And
he's a psychological salesperson. He's phenomenal. He's fantastic.
Is that his low ticket item, or is that a higher ticket? He probably has a couple different products though.
That's his low ticket item.
Yes, his low ticket. Get in his little black book of Q&A.
It's genius. His lead generator is making him money. It's genius. And so whenever you're going through a video of his, maybe he's training you on how to overcome objections, or training you how to respond when someone says, I got to talk to my wife about this. He'll pause right before he gets to the answer. He'll pause and say, hey, real quick, before I give you this answer, hey, did you know that all these objections are actually in my black book of questions? Like if you go to videos, you'll see stuff like that. And he promotes himself. He's his own sponsor, right? And he's putting the link to his black book of questions in the description in his videos. So he's doing both, which is why he's so popular, which is why they have so many leads.
And it's really targeted. People that are consuming this content want that. It's going to be easy conversion.
Yeah, it's genius.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, so for people that are out there to use your service, what would be a good fit? If they're just starting, or if they got to have a certain amount of content they've already been able to produce. Do they need to be able to produce? Like, you guys have a studio in Mesquite. If you're in DFW, that's a town here. You'll have a studio. So, like, who's an ideal client for you guys, and how do they get started with you? I imagine you'll have different tiers of service and things.
Yeah. So an ideal client of ours isn't necessarily whether or not they have a channel or not, or whether they've been doing this a long time or not. Our ideal client is someone who is committed to making content, and they have a means to generate revenue. Here's why that's important. We are not like, the cheapest agency out there, and for good reason. We actually have a revenue sharing model where we have skin in the game. We want to grow with you, which means we want to earn with you, right? There's a lot of agencies out there, media agencies, who have huge, high retainers, and that's fine. Good for them. We're so confident in what we do. We have a revenue sharing model. We know we're going to make money back. as long as you meet the criteria where you're committed to making content. And there's a way where we can make that money back with getting you the right views through sponsorships, right? Or through selling a digital product or a course, something like that, right? So we need people who have something to sell. I'll give you an example. We have a client named Mike Ritland. He's a retired Navy SEAL, huge name in the veterans and special operations space. But he's got multiple different companies. He's got a dog training company. He's got a dog food brand. Like he's got multiple things, right? And those are things that he can push, so he can make a good return on his investment. Plus, he's got sponsors for his podcast, right? That combined with Google AdSense revenue, hiring us is a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then you're just taking Afterburner, taking it to the next level.
Taking it to the next level. That's right. Within the first 30 days of working with him, we doubled his Google AdSense revenue. Actually, we more than doubled it. And then after 60 days, it tripled.
Oh, wow. That's pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, again,
he'd already been run his how long? I mean, how long has he already
He had his show for, I think, he started before Sean Ryan did.
Okay.
He started before Sean Ryan did, which Sean Ryan's huge now, right? But he started before Sean, and he had Sean on his show. But there were just a few things on the YouTube side that needed to be optimized, right? And once you dial those things in, because Mike has great content, great stories, great guests, everything you're looking for in an ideal client, right? But there were just a few things on the production side that we needed to just tweak and optimize, and then took off after 30 days, right? So all metrics are up in that sense, which is nice. So we're looking for people that have things to sell that they can make an ROI with, and they're committed to creating the content, and they have maybe a space. Like you guys have a nice space. This is great equipment, great studio. This is awesome. Like that's checkbox number one. You need to be able to have the means to shoot it, because we have clients who are in Florida, who are in San Diego, who are in other parts of the country, where if they don't have a studio, you just set one up.
Even if it's in your home. I mean, you could do an in-home studio now.
Totally.
There's a ton of capacity. And then you guys also help people with that. If they're wanting to just be able to step up their game, you also help them on how to set up lighting or set up their cameras.
Yeah, we have a full equipment list of like, hey, here's what you need. Here everything from like the cords, the stands, the lenses, like everything that you're going to need, the lights, like here's what you need. But also, hey, like if we're on a budget here, here's like the bare minimum of what you're going to need. That way you can give us some good quality, like raw footage, and then we can go and do all the editing, right? So yeah, so we'll provide everything. We'll provide the list. There's even people that we've gone to their studios and like optimized it, right? Make sure cameras are set up at the right angles. Make sure, things are configured correctly. We've set up, we have clients that I won't mention their names, but they're in Florida, and pretty well-known politicians, and gone into their homes and set up their studios for them. So yeah, everything from start to finish, from it filming on the camera to being uploaded to YouTube, we can do everything.
Beginning to end, the whole full white glove service all the way through.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And the difference is, and this is what I love, is that we have, not only do we have results to show that, hey, look, we know how to grow YouTube channels and we know how to help people make money, but Eric's experience is just, it's so cool. Like, it's so cool. Like, to work for a guy like Patrick Bet-David, right, who's got a huge following, 6 million subscribers on one channel, 2 million, 3 million subscribers on the PBD podcast, like a huge audience. Like, you think about like the demand of what a guy like that's going to demand from you if you're running the production.
The standards are going to be...
standards are so high, and he's a Marine Corps veteran. He already came in with standards. He met a guy who had high business standards and high production standards. Like, you would be fired over the slightest thing. I'm not saying Pat would do that, but maybe so, rightfully so, if he did, because you need to be... PBD cares about his brand. So he's not just going to put anybody up there to, hey, run my production,
Yeah, it's not willy-nilly. You're definitely putting together top notch.
Right. And so...
And they've got the resources. I mean, Cash and I have a huge insurance company. You got the resource, like, hey, let's build a media company, Mm-hmm. And now it's crazy. Like, even what's the guy, the diary, the CEO... He's over in England.
Steve, what I'm talking about? I think it's Bartlett.
Bartlett, yeah.
Steve.
I saw some article the other day, just the valuation on his media company, and I mean, offers he's getting, and he's turning them down. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So I mean, that's the pinnacle. I mean, you see these guys that are just cranking huge valuations on their media, But for like the regular business person, like for me, there's still a draw to doing this, like sure, if we get some, if I happen to be the next Chris Williamson and have some crazy media thing, but like I looked at some of these guys, I started looking back at their old content and it was horrible. You know what I mean? It's not to say, they were just doing it.
You're so right.
And I'm like, wow, man, these guys were just doing this in their living room, hanging out. They're just chilling on the couch, horrible lighting. Whatever. Some of the audio is horrible, but it's not even deleted. It's not like to delete that stuff. It's still on their channels. Go back and look. If you're interested in doing your own podcast, look back at these channels that are huge now. And they're not overnight success. If you look back, you can see some of their old content. Almost all these guys have this old content that they don't delete it. It's still there. And some of them have no views. Nothing. Still nothing. Even though they get millions of views now, these old ones don't get populated unless it just randomly sort of pops off for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild. I've gone through it because I was looking like, okay, how do I want to set this up? At first I was like, I'm going to make it kind of a cinematic lighting. And then I'm like, man, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Let's just sort of make it more like a TV studio. And then, but like, it's just wild. And then you're looking at the matter of just getting the job done. It didn't stop them. It didn't slow them down. And every rep, are you learning from it? Every rep, each iteration, are you getting better? That's where I come from. I'm more, let's just get it going. Let's just keep improving. And then like someone with you though coming in, you guys can see like, okay, guys, yeah, you're doing great. There's some areas you can tweak, and you can just, you could really amplify in a really quick pace and create not just better quality product, but more revenue.
Yeah,
like better conversions, better views. So like, get into that a little bit more. Like how are you guys able to really capitalize on tweaking these things? I know you guys are dialed in on the knobs and stuff, but like what are a couple areas where you just get you really get some juice out of the squeeze? You know what I mean? Like what are a couple?
So let's go back to Mike. Actually, I have two examples, but let's go back to Mike. If you want to build your belief, go to Mr. Beast's channel and look at his first videos. You're like, oh, these suck.
He ran for a year or two before any success.
Right. And it's crazy because he is the king of YouTube essentially, right? And so you look at his production value now, it's insane. It's through the roof. But his first videos, terrible. He was just consistent, and he here's the right word. He obsessed. I think he obsessed over YouTube, which if you want to turn this into something I think that will make the right amount of impact, you kind of have to be kind of like Mr. Beast or PBD or these guys. You got to like obsess, not in a negative way, but like you have to actually care.
Take it serious.
You have to care enough to make sure you put out the best possible product with what you have, right? Best possible product with what you have because you care. And so, with whatever you got, I joked earlier about the iPhone, right? But dude, if you got an iPhone, if you got 3 cameras, which iPhone quality is great nowadays, right?
If you have enough light,
yeah,
like even in here, we could run phones. There's enough light, but we have the lighting in here. If you're running it in the shadows and dark, sure. But even then, I don't know. It's
get a DJI, connect it to your iPhones, your 3 iPhones, and run a podcast. Upload that, and then you can edit that footage as long as you're shooting horizontal and and everything like that. That could turn out to a really decent production. So yeah, use whatever you've got, right? But in terms of the knobs and like the things that we're dialing in on, let's take Mike Ritland again. He had a bunch of long form content on his page, which is great. That matters. YouTube cares that you've got long form content and that people are watching you for hours. They love that. But we were missing out on a bunch of other potential views. Like, let's say a long form podcast got, 30,000 views. Let's say that. But let's say there was a 5-minute moment in there where they were talking about, let's say, recent topical things like, Israel and Gaza. Let's say. We want to take that 5 minutes and we want to turn that into a whole clip and optimize it. The titles, the thumbnail, the faces, the reactions, SEO, everything for the Israel and Gaza situation to capitalize on that because they're really talking about it.
It's also a trending topic. So you can ride that wave.
Exactly.
And then you're getting extra attention for your main channel.
Exactly.
And riding these little waves everywhere.
And then you put that clip out and that clip gets 100,000, 150,000 views. You got 150,000 views that you didn't get in your 30,000 view long form video. That increased your revenue, that increased your chances of people buying your product, things like that. And the people that don't make it there to the medium form, you cut out even the more like trending and the more viral parts of that and you make it a short, right? And then it all flows together and you're all pushing back towards the same long form piece, but you're repurposing your stuff, right? You're repurposing it strategically. And what we found with this client was that he was putting out the long form, but wasn't purposefully repurposing his content that could have got us more views, more revenue, and literally after 30 days, doubled.
Like, so from there, is that just YouTube, or are you guys also tying into all the other distribution channels? I mean, are y'all putting stuff out? LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, I mean, everywhere, Twitter, X, whatever. Like, are y'all putting stuff everywhere? Or is this just really optimizing just the YouTube itself?
We're really focused on just YouTube.
Okay, so you guys are really just dialed in, niched in, just YouTube. You're not even worried about the extra peripheral.
Yeah, we're not Facebook experts. We're not Instagram gurus. We focus on what is Instagram like. What do they want from us? Sorry, what is YouTube like? What does YouTube want from us? How can we favor the YouTube algorithm to get you the most amount of views, the most amount of money? That's what we care about the most. Now, the cool thing is that when we repurpose or whenever we create YouTube Shorts, you can repurpose those to your Instagram, your TikTok. And the beauty of it is you can choose. You could choose whichever ones that you like for your other platforms, right? Which is nice. But we are focused solely first on what's going to make YouTube happy. Then in turn, what's going to make you the most amount of money, get you the most amount of views. And keep in mind, this is all organic.
This is no paid ads.
This is all
pure
organic
outreach.
We've had clients where they've brought us on and they're so frustrated. Man, why aren't we making money? Why aren't we making money? And we go and we take a look because the numbers don't lie. Numbers do not lie. We look at the analytics and we see, okay, you have 3,000 views in the first 30 seconds. And then on second 31, you have 0 views.
I mean, so just cliff dive.
Yeah. So what that tells us is we go and we need to look at what's bringing in traffic. Like, where are we getting these views from? And we see a bunch of external sites that are super fishy. Oh, they're paying for views. They're paying for bots to show that they've got views, which is the worst thing you can do for your channel. That is the worst thing you can do. It takes so long to bounce back.
The algorithm gets messed up.
YouTube doesn't trust you, right? It takes a long time to bounce back.
Can you get blacklisted, sort of, or if people try to cut steps and just sort of rush this process?
You'll be favored. You'll be favored less until eventually it's just kind of lost out there, right?
Like, is this better just to restart your channel at that point?
Yeah, you might as well start a brand new channel.
Just
if you're
restart the whole.
Just restart the whole channel, right?
It's really burned.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Yeah. So
is there a way to see other than that? I mean, the views that they bought that? Is there ways to see if something's sort of shadow banned or burnt or?
So we can get if we're not looking at analytics, we can get decent indicators that something fishy might be going on. If you have a whole bunch of views, maybe even a whole bunch of likes, but 0 comments, 0 engagement. Do you have any engagement? Is your audience saying things like, man, this is awesome, this is great, hey, I hated when this guy said this? Like, if you're not getting any engagement, I'm questioning how real and loyal those views are. So let's take, for example, if you've got 100 views on a video and no comments, okay, fair, fine. If you've got 1 million views on a video,
you're going to have some comments.
You're going to have some comments. But if you have none, red flag.
Yeah,
red flag. Weird. Something's weird is going on, right? And so, but people, I think, are after vanity metrics. They want the views for the sake of, I have 100,000 views on this episode, but no real people saw it. If your mission really is to impact people with whatever it is you're trying to say, we want real people to see it. We don't care if bots see it. Those are vanity metrics, right? We don't care about that, and it hurts you long term. So, anyways, everything we do is completely organic. No bots. We don't run any ads. Now, if you want to run ads, sure, go for it. If you've got the budget, great. If you want quicker results, fantastic. Nothing wrong with running ads. But organic is just a better long-term investment. It's a stronger audience you create. People see that you really care about creating content. Just organic and long-term
you can still be strategic. So beyond that, so let's say, like even now, let's maybe throw out 2 examples. Like, what's something for someone for the service you guys? Well, first off, do y'all have your own podcast channel for what you guys do, or no?
We have our own channels. We don't have a Galera Media channel to tell people how to do YouTube, but maybe we should. Maybe we should launch that.
Something because then you would be you could really dial in people looking up these like specific SEO phrases, and by the way, we can help you out with that. Like Miner's doing for sales or something.
Right.
So. Well, so for the first second here, like, do you have your own independent channels? Like, what are your like? You have your own independent channel or your own YouTube?
I have a channel. I have a podcast, and then Eric, our founder, he's got a podcast. It's the Grit Podcast, where he doesn't necessarily talk to business owners. He talks more to people who have compelling stories of struggle victory. In any industry, struggle victory in fitness, in the military. We've got guys we're bringing on from who serve in law enforcement. Like that's his niche because it's a passion. It's because he really loves telling those stories.
For me, I started this because I was like, man, I love talking to people. I'm bringing back so many incredible people into the studio when I'm doing their photography, and you don't just sit there and take the picture. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, I'm trying to understand what's the purpose of what are we doing, and not just like I need a picture for LinkedIn. Like, no, man, it's way more than that. Because people don't just tell you. I got to dig a little bit. And then during that process of getting to know someone, building that composure to get a better picture in the camera, that chemistry is going to show, and like that part, I was like, man, I started meeting so many incredible people, especially as my business has grown. I'm dealing with some pretty high level people. I was like, I need to sit down but I want this to be easy. I don't want to be like, sometimes like we schedule this, like, hey, come out and we're talking, let's catch up. But I want to be able to turn this on and sit down and be like, hey, look, you were really cool. Do you mind if I just sit down and share your story for a few minutes? That's kind of where the idea started for this. Mm-hmm. And then it sort of snowballed and, kind of went, haywire and just kind of chaotic. But so for yours, like, that's pretty cool. So it's called The Grip?
The Grit Podcast.
The Grip Podcast. And then what's your podcast?
Dear Founder.
Dear Founder?
Yeah, Dear Founder. We're focused more on... Because I like what we're doing. We're talking business. We're diving into things. My podcast, I ask a lot more questions about before you were who you were, right? Before the studio, before the business, before maybe your success you have now. What was happening before? Like the struggle, victory of the entrepreneur. Like I've had people on my show who've told me they're on the verge of going bankrupt. People who've told me that they were given high blood pressure medication at 3 years old as a kid for ADHD, and now they're successful authors, entrepreneurs, and like those. Like I'm digging for those stories because I love hearing about what people overcome. I kind of don't trust you unless you've gone through some crap. Like I want to know you were able to tough it out, overcome, and humble yourself through hard times. Like I love hearing that about entrepreneurs. And so anyways, that's really why I ask.
The grit of the deep, like the foundation, like how did you become that being?
Yes. Yeah.
Not just the success we see now, but what really dug and built you, like what forged that foundation.
Right. Because that tells you a lot about the success. The failure and the hurt will tell you a lot more about that founder's success than the actual results will. Right. And that's what I love learning, because it actually doesn't even really matter if you're an entrepreneur. Like anyone can learn from that struggle success story if you tune in, if you want to get those nuggets of like, I have a guy that I'm bringing on the show, is a good friend of mine, and man, battled a lot of, drug abuse, like growing up. Like he just got into the wrong crowd, got into the wrong things, and you wouldn't know it unless you asked him. Successful entrepreneur here in the area. I mean, big real estate guy, like you wouldn't know.
Well, he's not just wearing on his sleeve like, hey guys.
Exactly.
He's not leading with that because he probably didn't identify with it as much anymore.
Exactly.
He doesn't feel ashamed of it. He's probably been able to deal with it.
But you wonder why, and that's why I wanted him on the show, because I wondered why is this guy so full of just like peace? He's calm, like love, treats people with respect. Like where did that come from? Because that's not natural. Like no one just is born with those characteristics. It's forged. And so I like to know, where did that come from, right? And so I did the same thing with Eric. I learned a lot about Eric that I didn't know on our podcast, because that was the setting for me to ask those type of questions. And so
I mean, just for me being selfish for a second, like that, this is the one part of this is I'm busy. You've got multiple kids. I've got 3 kids. We're all busy, and we're busy building businesses. But for me, this is nice that the phone's off. There's no distractions. We're actually able to have a real, genuine conversation. And I think that's a big part of the draw of what people enjoy, is because there's just it's so crazy how we're losing the sense of being able to tell stories and share those moments and things. I've got a buddy of mine. He does media training in California. He's a consultant for that, and he's like, his kids are in their 20s and they don't know how to tell a story. He's like, where did I go wrong? Like, I train people this professionally. Like, come on, guys. But it's like, I think a lot of culture, I'm trying hard with my kids, to keep them engaged, eye contact, speak up where I can hear you, certain values. But like, there are plenty of young, people that can tell these stories. I don't know, but it's something that I think it's the interest. I don't know, this format of it's a story, your conversation, and the video element. You're being able to, because there's, communication also, like what we're doing with photography. There's so many little nuances, which is crazy. I have to like sit there and coach people on their face for that instant moment to be able to tell the story that you want to share in your personal brand on your profile photo. And it could be the difference between a huge, like a 20 or 30% conversion rate of acceptance. You know what I mean? People dating, you know what I mean? Like it could be a big difference. People are judged by, we're all being judged. We're all judged by, our cover.
Yeah.
But there's so many little nuances that go into it. It's wild, And like, I don't know, for this, I love this format that you can sit down, have a full conversation uninterrupted. We're blocking off whatever it is, an hour or 2 hours, you sit there, you have a conversation. That's what I really enjoyed about this too, because there's a lot of times, like for me to go meet you, we can go to a networking event at a happy hour, and we're kind of talking, but there's interruptions. You're, even if you're drinking, you're not really in your clear state of mind of like, let's really have a focused conversation where we're, I don't know. It's, I like this a lot. I think this is something that people should do more, and I don't know, maybe people go to a therapist or something. I don't know, but it's like to really have like a conversation about something and dig in, I think this is really good for not just us as business owners. I think we can, when we interview people, I think we can get a lot of perspective. I think we can get some empathy. But I also think for people that maybe are younger or maybe starting their businesses or maybe starting their professional career, man, it would be really cool. I would have loved to have been a guest on a podcast for the sake of getting the jitters out of the way. Or I really feel like this can help if you have a fear of public speaking. Because media training,
right?
Getting in front like this, even when people are in the studio, they're fine, and then you get in front of the lights and the camera, and they're like,
yeah.
Even here, for the video, it's probably similar. I don't even really think about it at this point. But yeah, if you don't have that experience, I don't know, maybe it's a service we could add on, is just media training, being in front of this, getting used to it, because it's about putting the reps in.
Right.
I don't know. For me, I think especially if it's something, some people are just natural, but if you're not a natural, getting the reps in.
I've met some business owners.
Put yourself in the situation where you're in the situation, you get better at it.
I've met some business owners who, they're great in front of people. They're fantastic. They're great. Like this all around, great energy. They're great with people, great at communicating, eye contact, all that. And then we're shooting an ad or we're in a podcast or whatever, and they're just like,
Well, do you feel like I feel like this format though is easier than just talking head. Like
no, this is
or
great.
I've got a teleprompter, like looking at the teleprompter or even having bullet points, having that ability to really talk at the camera versus like just talking. I feel I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like as like if you're a host or asking questions, you know what I mean? Like you're able to really kind of pull it out of them a bit. Or even sometimes, like, so back in the day when we used to shoot with film, a lot of times we would shoot the first 2 rolls of film would be empty camera. You wouldn't even waste the film because it costs money. You would just shoot empty camera and hype someone up and get them comfortable. And then you would put the film in the camera because you knew the first bit was going to be a waste.
Yeah.
So like, even like, I don't really know. I'm just shooting from the hip with this podcast. So like for people that are filming a podcast, you'll see sometimes they'll make a reference like, oh, we were talking off camera for the first 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Are people kind of rolling for a bit and then waiting to feel like, okay, the moment's kind of hitting, let's start the part, even if they're recording, like this is the part where we're actually going to start the podcast of where we're showing it?
Yeah. So whenever I bring guests on our show, I have a bunch of questions that I ask them before we ever start rolling. That way it's way more natural. Like I don't want them to feel robotic or whatever, or feel like they have to be pressured with their answers. So I ask them, a combination of silly questions at the beginning and then more like a layer deeper type of questions after the silly questions. That way I've got both senses of their reactions to funny, silly, and maybe a little bit more serious topics. So that way we can kind of get them at an equilibrium, and then I start the show. All right, so I'll do that.
Like, are you rolling the whole time, or are you...
We're rolling. Yeah, we're rolling.
So you're rolling, but you're just trying to get this out of the way. You know it's going to be kind of crap.
Right. But then at some point, whenever I feel like, okay, this guy's good or this guest is good, then I'll look at the camera, and we kind of have our little signal of like, all right, I'm about to start, and then I'll go into my questions.
And then you're doing it.
Yeah.
What about like, so for, I don't know, we're kind of going off on some different topics here. This is me. I'm not very planned, guys. I'm just sort of shooting from the.
It's the best.
That's where but Alex is great because Alex, generally he's going to co-host, and he's got his list of SEO optimized questions of like, okay, these are bullet points we got to make sure we ask, and then we're going to make sure we're going to make clips. Like he's very structured, and like we're going after that. And for me, I'm just like, I just rather have a conversation and let it flow a little bit. So on a podcast, like doing the intro, do you find that most people, so like, hey guys, Mario's here now, like, do you feel like doing that intro like with the person watching? Because you'll hear even like what's Tom Bello? What's his
Tom Belli,
Bellio, whatever. He's got one where he does this crazy long intro for people. And they're like, wow, man, that was amazing. I wish you could read my eulogy at my funeral, or like.
So there's different strategies to that. So that's actually great. I'm glad you brought that up because there's different strategies. We watch PBD a lot because obviously he's got some great results. He's a great idea person, he also has a team of people around him that has great ideas. And so, but we noticed that he started doing intros to his podcast. He started telling people, hey guys, this conversation I'm about to have, like, and he'll go and promote the heck out of that conversation. And by the time you get to the conversation, you're like, I gotta listen, like I gotta see, right? So he's just selling you on the podcast. Super cool. It's a great idea, but having introductions is so key. Like
in the format for the podcast.
Right. So how you're going to introduce, right? How you're going to introduce the show. So it's not a matter of, hey guys, welcome to, whatever show this is. It's a matter of how are we going to package this episode for an introduction. So I'll give you an example. What we do is we go straight into a conversation. We go straight into the conversation. We have the conversation. At the end of the episode, we'll be done. The guest will stay like kind of right where they are. They'll stay right
hanging.
Yep,
and then you record.
And then I record an intro because everything is so fresh. Like it's the
everything
raw,
you talked about,
raw conversation, raw emotion, recalling some things we've talked about. I'll look at the camera and I'll say, guys, I'll just promote the heck out of the conversation because it's so fresh.
Here, let's do it. I'm going to lock a camera on you. Here, hold on. So
okay.
So I'm going to lock on you, and then let's give it a dry run. Just show people how it's done.
Okay.
Here, I got you locked in. So you're going to be on this camera here. And let's give it a go. Let's see it. Let's see it in action.
All right. Ready? Guys, I don't believe in coincidences at all. I believe everything happens exactly how it happens for a reason. We may not know what that reason is, but it all happens for a reason. I had an agency where my partner was doing some shady business stuff, and that agency basically, evaporated out of thin air. But the people that I met there, I was hoping to retain some sort of relationships, something. And what do you know? I'm at a business event, a business networking event, and I ran into a gentleman who we didn't do any business together, but I remembered him, and it just so happens he remembered me. And now I'm on a podcast recording an episode off of an engagement we had that was maybe less than 30 minutes. So you never know what'll happen. You also won't know what's going to happen in this episode as we talk about everything relating to YouTube. So if you want to make money on YouTube, if you want to capitalize on your efforts, you're going to want to tune in to this episode. But remember, this is not a coincidence you're watching this. You're watching this because you wanted to make money. And so dive into this conversation that I get to have with a now good friend, Brent Tinsley.
Awesome, Mario. That was cool. Let me switch back my handy dandy auto switcher, so it's switching around.
So, we do stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it takes practice, and, you have to, that's, stuff like that we do on the fly, unless there are things that like we got to mention. Cause like your co-host Alex, when it comes to SEO, that's great. That's smart. You want to plan things, right? So if there is something around that person you're interviewing that has a relevance to something that's trending or a major event, you want to mention that in that intro. Guys, the whole Israel-Gaza situation is, it's terrible what's happening. The innocent lives that are being lost. But I'll tell you what, we're bringing on a gentleman who has the right perspective, who is in the middle of blah, blah, blah.
So for current event based, or if it was a sports podcast, because there's all kind of different
you want to promote that.
Or even like right now, like something that's trending is probably like Gemini 3's out, or Nano Banana, whichever version, or something like that. It could be something trending that people are already looking for, and but you're not trying to like clickbait people. You're not trying to throw something out that is not related. But as long as it is kind of related, you kind of ride that wave of that extra attention.
Right. So it's okay to be
I mean, you want to be. I mean, a lot of YouTube is clickbaity. Come
Right,
on,
right.
I mean,
Because that's what gets
even the thumbnails, the expressions. Like, what's up with that? Like, why does everybody like like why does that work on YouTube?
You know,
I mean, it's still got to be performing because I see a lot of big people doing it. Come on, it's crazy.
I hate that unless you're Joe Rogan, that you have to do it. Like,
it's something,
I know. It's so
what's
silly.
the British comedian's name? He's got he used to be an actor. Now he's got his podcast. Brand Russell
Brand.
Yeah, Russell.
Yeah,
and he'll even go. Like basically it's World War III. Like, he even does it. I'm like, dude, the guy's already crazy famous, crazy popular, and even he's doing it. So there's a reason. There's got to be a reason.
The reason is the click-through rate. You want people to
shock and awe.
You want people to like have this sense of FOMO. Like, well, I mean, this looks pretty serious. I better click on it, like I should click on this. Yeah, it's all about how you package it. You want to get a high click-through rate. The higher the click-through rate, meaning the better chance we have of them watching, right, the video.
So the thumbnail, I mean, is if you don't get them to click there, you're done.
Virtually.
I mean, so you need to click, you got to have the thumbnail. And then in that first moment, that hook, I mean, all these little moments, if you look at short form content, long form content might be a little more forgiving, but not really. You still got to keep their attention. So, like, how would you rate the importance of things? I mean, everything's important, but like, if you don't get them to click, you're done.
It's the way
the thumbnail's got to be really important.
The way
the hook and the headline, all that kind of stuff's got to be crazy. Like,
yeah, the way I explain it is not on a matter of like severity level of each thing. I think the best analogy I could use is if we're going old school, putting quarters in a vending machine, right? If you put in 3 out of 4 quarters for a soda, you're not going to get the soda, right?
You're not getting the result.
Right. You're like, but I put in 75 cents. Well, I mean, you need the full $1, bro. Like, you need to put in $1, then you get the soda. Back
when I was younger, it was 25 cents for a soda.
Or a nickel for maybe that. Right. I know. That's why I said going old school, putting quarters in a vending machine, which, rest in peace to the penny. That's gone.
Is it not here anymore?
I think they're just stopping production.
Whatever's in distribution, they're going to let it go.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to cost more to make a penny than it is in value.
It does. Andrew Yang had a point. That was one of the things he was running on whenever he was running for president. 8 years ago, he was like, "Hey, we're wasting money on the penny." And I'm like, I don't know if I want to vote for this guy, but that makes sense. Like, that makes a whole lot of sense. Get rid of the penny. But anyways, that's the analogy I go to is you got to put in all 4 quarters if you want to expect the right result. So SEO is not the secret, but it's one of the quarters, right? The thumbnail is not the secret, but it's one of the things you need in order to get the best result, right? So like if you mix in thumbnails with SEO, but the content sucks, dude, your audience feels cheated.
But the algorithm's looking at like the transcript or there's probably some sort of AI transcription of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
I'm assuming. I don't know. I imagine. So throughout this conversation, it's going to kind of know what we're talking about.
Yeah. It'll have an idea.
Or if you're cutting it into a short, it'll know kind of what you're talking about. It's got to have some sort of analysis to know these keywords are in there, sort of. You know, if you're in the right genre. But to get the human to click on it, because this is still like there's stuff. It's in your feed. You're kind of scrolling like, oh, that looks interesting. Let me click on that. Or I've seen this guy. I'm kind of becoming more familiar with him. Well, let me. Let's go to hold on. I mean, I know I'm interrupted, but so with the thumbnail portion though too, what I'll see is a lot of people lean on other people's picture if they're famous, or if they're not, they're using their own, or they'll use 2 faces. Depending on how famous you are, or I guess attractive or non-attractive, is there a better format in general, like a rule of thumb, sort of, in the sense of putting the faces on there and the. I don't know what you call that face. We got to come up with a name for that. the shock and awe, the YouTube thumbnail face.
The silly expressions for thumbnails it's so funny, but it matters that you use the thumbnail and the expressions so you can get the clicks. You definitely want it. But what's worse is if you get the clicks, but the audience feels baited. That's what's worse. So I'll give you an example.
So you don't want a total catfish.
Right. Not totally. Let's say you have a thumbnail of you and Alex Hormozy, right? Let's say that's the thumbnail. Let's say it looks like you're in the same room. Oh, well, if there's a guy that I've been following on his podcast is in the same room with Alex Hormozy, I want to see what happened, right? You click on the video and he's just talking about Alex.
Or it's like a reaction video to something.
Right, or it's a reaction, right? Which that content's really popular right now too. But let's say it's just a reaction. Man, that person's going to leave, right?
But if you do the thumbnail in the way that it's a reaction video,
Exactly.
You can still kind of ride, because you'll see. I mean, I see a lot of talking head video, but they'll ride the coattails of other people's fame and then put them in the thumbnail. But it's not totally catfishing, acting like they were in the same room, but they are kind of riding certain current events, or
And
there's a tasteful way, or not, maybe not tasteful, but there's a more semi-ethical way of doing it.
There's a more strategic way to do it.
Strategic,
yeah, because the thumbnail is, you only get so much space, right? You want to put the right elements. You want to put some words in there, some bright words, some words that are going to create some FOMO, right? You want to put a face that they recognize, right? Which is either you or the person you're talking about, right? So putting a face in there is not a bad thing. But if you make it look like it's something that it really isn't,
if you really are misleading.
right, exactly, then you're going to decrease your watch time. It's going to increase the speed at which people leave the channel or leave the video, right? Which that's really upsetting to the person that's creating the content, right? So all this stuff matters, right? So if you create a thumbnail that's consistent with what you're actually going to be talking about or what's going to be shown, then the watch time will continue and increase, right? Which will increase the amount of times that you get impressions, and that the YouTube algorithm says, okay, yeah, let's put you in front of these people now because this person watched you. Now let's put you in front of these people because they're more likely to watch you.
Here, let's go in a direction like, so how do people find their voice?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing. People are wanting to do this, but then they're like, well, how do I find my voice? Like, is it more of just putting the reps in, or is there a strategic way where people can find a voice? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep, I know, yeah. So I think there's a few things. I think internally, you have to know what you actually give a damn about. Like, what do you really care about? You know, like I love that you care about having conversations with other business owners, like, and you want to just kind of create a space for just genuine connection. Like, I love that. That's cool. That's worth fighting over. That's worth doing all of this setup to create. Like, I love that, right? So you have to find out, like, what do you really care about? Eric really cares about people that are overcoming specifically certain situations. We have a client of ours who really cares about calling out the BS within the feminist movement. Like, that's her thing. Like, she calls out all.
Yeah, I could do that, but I might get canceled.
Right. Yeah. That's why I praise her for doing that. Let's rely on her. We love her stuff. She's great. Her name's Jedediah Bila. She's got a phenomenal channel, man. We launched her in March, and now
it's blown up.
She has over 100,000 subscribers.
That's awesome.
In 6-7 months, something like that. Phenomenal. She's a great talent. She cares. And
but her was she already putting content out on TikTok or Instagram or
now,
things?
she had a following beforehand.
Or was she already on YouTube or somewhere else?
She was on Valuetainment at one point. She was on The View at one point. Like, she had amassed an audience for herself. So she knew her voice going in.
Okay. So she already had an audience. She knew that was interested in these topics.
Yeah. So she knew. But what I'm saying is, like, she capitalized on what she knew and what she cared about, and it blew up, right? So, anyways, you find out what you care about, either what makes you upset, what you're knowledgeable in, what you're passionate in talking about, what you can talk with other people about. So you find that first, and you identify what that is for you. You found what that is for you. For me, I like hearing the struggle victories of entrepreneurs, specifically with people who aren't as well known. I'm not trying to fight tooth and nail to get Alex Hormozy on my show. I'm not. I'm looking for the guy who is a multimillionaire from mobile homes, and he has 1,000 properties across Texas. I want to interview that guy because he doesn't have a channel. I want to know what he went through, right? So anyways, that's what I care about in terms of finding my brand and my voice. Now, what helped me, though, because I was so new, and you're like, people that are launching, they're new, I looked at other channels. And I was like, what do I like? What do I not like? Like, legitimately, what do I like? What do I not like? I really like Cody Sanchez and how she's well prepared. Like, she's well prepared with the guests she's coming on. She knows a lot about them. She did a lot of research about them. So the questions she's asking are relevant to the people because she did some research, right? So I love Cody Sanchez. Steve, obviously, he's a great diver CEO. He creates a real, like, cinematic, like, in-depth type of environment. Like, I love that stuff. Like, I think that's really cool.
Well, that.
Yeah.
So I've seen some of his. He'll have photos of clips behind the scenes. What do you think? Like, so right now we have a 3-camera setup. Mm-hmm. What I was thinking about doing is maybe having another camera, or if we ever even do have a producer here, having them involved sometimes. So, like, one thing I'm always like, on on the Joe Rogan, Jamie's never on camera.
Right.
Like he's involved in the conversation all the time, but he's almost like that guy. You remember Home Improvement? The guy who was across the fence. You never really knew what his face was. It's an old show. Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it was Tim Allen, right?
Tim Allen
Yeah.
show. Yeah, but the neighbor, I don't know if you remember the show, but across the fence, you never saw his face. It was always kind of hidden. I don't know. That was part of a bit that they did in the show. But like, I'm sort of curious about the person. Sometimes it's like involved. That's sort of behind the scenes there. You know, there's certain other podcasts where you do see that person, but then there's sometimes where you just hear their voice, but they're not involved. Like you don't see them.
Yeah. I love, I think it's either the Good Friends podcast or the Bad Friends podcast. I forgot which one it is. It's with Bobby and Andrew. Andrew
I don't
Santino.
know them as much. Yeah.
He's a redhead comedian, funny guy, a white dude and an Asian guy. They're a great combo. They're hilarious. But some of the most funny parts are actually when they're talking to their producers in the back, and there's a camera that shows them.
It does show.
It's hilarious.
So it'll cut to them and back and
Yes.
forth. So I might do that here. 'Cause, I mean, we can light it up.
You got
or
the
mic
extra
'em.
camera, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Or even just for a scene, what do you think about having like a behind the scenes? Like if you have a clip, like I've got some PTZ cameras we could put up or something, just kind of show. Not too often. It'd have to be a little bit less often, I think, in the cut, but you can kind of see the behind the scenes, or maybe record it on a different channel just to have sort of that.
Yeah, I think
Clip.
if you have some extra cameras, I wouldn't make it part of like the auto switch. I would record it, keep it separate.
Just a separate channel or a separate piece of content that you could use
Separate
to
piece.
throw in a little bit of the
And then
BTS.
in post editing, in post production, put it in a few different spots, right? And make it a solid anchor and placeholder for like 1 to 2 seconds, and then switch back to something else, right?
Just to kind of show some variation.
Yeah, because Steve and Chris Williamson, they have a lot of different angles, man. It's crazy.
Well, no, they'll have it like, man, they have a lot of
It's a
camera angles.
movie.
But even each person will have, like, even their tight shots, they'll have multiple camera angles of the tight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many cameras they're running in there. Or I don't know if they're just shooting in 4K or 8K and punching in sometimes, maybe. I don't know what they're...
My guess is they have the cameras.
they're just going at it.
Yeah, that's my guess. And honestly, if I had all those resources, I would put 1 million cameras into, right? Just to catch specific shots, because I want a really good, like, specific, perfect shot for what I'm trying to do.
I'm the opposite. I'm going for, like, get it done, but I'm also doing this as a solo operator. Even a lot of our business, we operate in a way where we're trying to be as efficient as possible, still have very high quality product, but get it done efficiently without a lot of overhead and staff and things like that.
Yeah.
But also, like, the conversation here, like you and I having a conversation would maybe be influenced if there was a person over here watching us.
True.
You're pretty comfortable camera. If people that are probably on a podcast circuit, they're not going to care. They're normal. They're used to being around a team. But if it's someone that's not used to being on camera, like most people I deal with in my business, they don't even want to get their picture taken in the first place. So for them to sit down, like they really don't. So for them to sit down and have a conversation, the more involved, it's going to be like, nah, man, I'm not going to do it. But if it's like, hey, look, just going to turn the lights on real fast, just sit down, we'll just start talking, it'll be easy. Then they'll be like, all right, not a big deal. You know what I mean? But there's not like people watching and there's all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of part of why I want to have this set up, is to be able to operate it basically as a solo operator. And then, we do have where we're going to have different hosts and more guests and things on there, the capacity for it. But this is where I'm really enjoy is just one-on-one, having a conversation.
Yeah.
But not having to sit there too much and worry about all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's that's Eric and I's dynamic. Eric is really, really good behind the scenes. He's really, really good, like way better than me behind the scenes. Equipment, setup, wires, like the way we're switching, like everything, like the
production director,
production.
like
He
producer.
he loves all that stuff. When he has to do that and get in front of camera, sometimes he's like, I gotta switch my hats here, right? But the way we set it up was, he was like, hey, look, what if I focus on just all production, and what if we launch a podcast for you where you don't focus on production and you focus on the interviews, the content, right? What we're doing, like focus on that, because it is so valuable that you can have genuine focus, authenticity, attention on people during conversations without having to worry about all the other crap, right? Which is why I love what we do, because our clients here, they show up. I love watching them, because it's a great evolution of like being like worried and scared about how everything is going to go to just we're just here for another shoot. The team's got it. They're good.
Well, I got to come out and check out. So tell people a little bit about the studio in Mesquite. So you guys have an actual studio that you have the capacity to film, edit, distribution, the whole thing.
So it's based out of It's based out of Eric's house.
Okay.
He's got a beautiful home out in Mesquite, brand new build. But we've got 2 different studios in there that we kind of
Okay,
makeshift.
so you have 2 studios.
2 studios in there that we makeshift. We have a really dark room that's a little bit more dramatic, which is where we do a lot of the Grit podcast for Eric. And then we have we use different rooms, or sometimes a living room, dining room. We use those different elements for more casual conversation, which we'll use for my podcast for Dear Founder. So yeah, we have those 2. And man, we love it. I mean, because we can get as creative as we want to. We've got, I think, some of the best equipment you can use for podcasting, the FX30s and the Rodecaster, and like we've got everything that would make for really, really good production. The cool thing is we also control the post, and so we can control everything right then and there. So we like that. But we have other clients who they're also here in DFW, but they have their own studios. Well, we'll go to them.
So you go on site and set up, and
we'll go on site. We'll have producers. We'll have someone help manage the show. We'll have someone make sure that all the settings are adjusted, all the equipment is right, wires are all across the way they should be, and then we take that raw, and then we just the raw footage, and then we go and we make it happen on the YouTube side.
well, so like for people that are wanting to do this, if they're really committed, how often or how long, I mean, once a week, kind of a distribution for a podcast is kind of standard. Is that still the standard?
If you have the ability to, I would do 2 a week.
2 a week.
2 podcasts a week, anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes.
Okay, so we're probably even past that. Yeah, we're almost an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
So 45 to 60 minutes.
At least twice a week.
Here, let me rephrase that again, guys. Let's get the hook here. So for anyone wanting to start a podcast, how long and how often should they be filming?
You're going to want to film for 45 to 60 minutes, and if you can, at least twice a week.
At least twice a week.
At least if you can.
But so even more?
Even more if you can. That way you can get ahead of post-production.
Well, what about live? Like the reason I got all this set up is so I could just do it live and just throw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is there a benefit or harm to doing live other than me trying to not cuss and stuff? Like, is there a...
Right. No, it's not going to hurt you because the more content you put out, the more YouTube's going to favor you, right? Candace Owens, I mean, she goes live multiple times a week and she's getting millions of views per, right? Now, that's not everybody, but she only does live.
Oh, she's only live.
For the most part, she's only live. She has a couple clips that they cut out, but for the most part,
she'll just turn on the cameras live, go and edit.
She's got her team. She got her producer there. And they're just releasing these live, millions of views. So yeah, if you're going live, that's great. Multiple times a week, also great. But if you want
and consistency of time, like they know it's at 10 a.m. 3 days a week, or
yeah. So here's what I'd suggest, because a lot of the times we're running into creators that are not just creators; they're business owners, right? Which means they're busy, which means our calendars are so slim. So what we'd recommend is 2 different things. If you can record at least once a week, every week for 45 to 60 minutes, it's going to give us the best ammo to create the best content for your YouTube channel. Now, if you can give us twice a week, every week, even better. That's ideal. Now, if you're super busy, you're running your business and you can't do that, I would batch them. If you can film multiple episodes on a Saturday, 4, 5, 6 episodes on a Saturday, just make it a content day. Make it a fun day. You bring your friends, you got your drinks, like you've got a day full of just interviewing and talking with people. Fantastic. Then you do it 1 day a month.
Well, like so today I'm trying to get ahead. Thanksgiving's Thursday. Mm-hmm. This is Thanksgiving week. We're filming this. I've got another guest tonight, owns a robotics company thing. So we're doing 2 episodes today. Alex couldn't be here for this one, but I'm still staying in this genre for the conversation we're doing. And then you just go at it. You know, I don't know. For me, it's just about getting it done and pump it out.
Yeah.
So now let's go in. So for someone who's really they've got their podcast going, and then it's are you finding it to be a freaking nightmare on the back end? Like, are there any? Let me ask you real fast. Are there any AI clipper apps that are actually working? You've got Filmora, Opus Clip, Descript. You've got all these things. Have you found any that can kind of help at all? At least do some of the lifting.
So,
without endorsing anything specific, just in general, is there? Because there's so many of these things I've tested out. I'm trying them out, and
these tools will do the job. They'll do the job. What I don't like is how long it takes on these platforms to make your shorts look so different from other people's. Because when you see clips on YouTube, you can tell, oh, they used Opus Clip or they used whatever.
So if you've trained your eye enough, you know. Okay.
We can see it, yeah.
So you've because you see it so much.
See it so much. I can tell by looking at a short, this guy got this from Opus Clip, or the frame's off just slightly bit the way that, you know, Opus Clip tends to do things, or whatever other tool you're using, right? I'm just saying them because, but I can kind of see it. And so nothing wrong with it. If you need to get the job done, those are great tools to get the job done, to save you time, be efficient. Absolutely. From a creativity side and from a control side, I don't like using them, at least for the elements that people care about, which is the cuts, the B-roll, and the captions, right? If you want to use Opus Clip just to get you a solid, 60 seconds of content, great. Use that, save yourself time, and then go in and add your captions or whatever, right? So there's a good way to use it to where you don't lose creativity, where you don't lose your distinctness about your brand.
Or part of your actual voice.
Or part of your voice, right? So there's a good way to use it to be efficient, but I don't like just overly trusting these tools with, little to no editing of just cut me some clips, upload it to YouTube. Like it just, yes, you'll get a lot of volume out, which is what Opus Clip, I think, in these other tools.
That's what they're marketing.
They're marketing
help
like
you get your volume.
Right. But, there is bad volume, right? You don't want bad volume. You want at least decent to good quality volume, right? Which requires more time than just importing a video and then exporting it to YouTube. It takes some more time than that. But it'll get the job done if you use it for what you're supposed to use it for, which is just identifying key pieces of content, because it'll tell you, right, hey, this has a good chance. Here's the topics, here's the titles, here's the hashtags. Okay, that's solid.
So it'll get you sort of as an assistant to help you kind of get
It'll get you started.
Okay.
But like we mentioned, either before the show started or right when the show started, AI will never really take over the creative human element. And that is the big distinction that I think it'll take a long time to get to. The human element, the creativity, for us as human beings to recognize the art in things of not just the captions, but what color do we want the captions, right? Do we want any background in the captions? Do we want any border in the captions? What's the right color we should use that'll catch attention, but also, align with your brand? Do we want the captions to flow as one word, disappear, jump? What do we want, right? Like that human creativity and that human element, you can never take away. And that's what I think makes for really powerful content, is whenever we are not relying on AI, but using AI to make us more efficient. And then we add in our human creativity, which is what people are looking for, right?
Yeah, and double down. Well, to get the volume of content that you're talking about putting out, to just have dedicated editors doing all that, I mean, it's a hunk of work.
It's a lot. And so you asked me about, do we ever get bottlenecks? I had to drink some water, but you asked about that. Yeah. The reason why tools like Opus Clip and those other tools were created is because post-production is crazy. It is a whole operation. I mean, Eric told me about all the people that PBD hired just for the YouTube channel. He had graphic designers just for the YouTube channel. He had SEO people just for the YouTube channel.
They dedicated just specifically just for his
people.
One channel, just each.
He had a shorts person. He had a clip person. He had a long form person. And then he had a producer that was on the show. And then you have people that are handling technical things live on the show. Like you have a person for everything, right? And so Eric's whole goal was to bring that entire production in a cost-effective way to business owners where they don't have to go and hire all that, manage all that. We manage all that.
You also, you don't, I mean, that's a lot of cost to eat full time. I mean, you're going to be all in. I mean, you're really, they got to be pumping out more than $100,000 a month just in expenses, just to get to that level.
Yeah, exactly.
But you guys are able to bring it in at a way more cost effective option, but still very high level quality of not just for the production, but for the actual clips going out, everything.
Right.
For the actual impact that you're getting.
So does it get crazy? I've seen it get crazy because of high volume, like a lot of clients requesting a lot of things, but the team itself is run super smooth. Eric is an operator. He is an operational genius. He knows SOPs. He knows managing a team. He knows deadlines. Like he knows all of that stuff, and he knows how to execute. And now no one's perfect. When we've dropped the ball, Eric has always taken full responsibility. Like, he's never been like, well, this guy should have done this, or the client was,
At the end of the day, the buck stops here. I mean,
right.
whether it gets done or not.
Yeah, and so I love the way he operates. It's all his fault, and it's all his responsibility, whether things suck or whether they're amazing. He's like, I own it all, and he's delegated, certain tasks to certain people to make things efficient. But like, he's just a great operator, which if you're handling the PBD podcast, you have to be, And so he's brought that level of operation and made it available to other business owners who they don't want that stress of managing all that, right? And so because he's so good at it, that's what he does. And I've seen him do a phenomenal job with it. And so does it get crazy with requests? Absolutely. But he's kind of like a duck on water. You've heard of that phrase, duck on water, where, above water, he's just super smooth and just sailing. Underneath the water, you kind of see his legs moving real fast, right? But that's when you think of Eric, when you see his team and when you see what we're doing, it's just super smooth. But underneath the surface, man, they are after it. And so, yeah, man, I love what we put together.
Like, do you guys have capacity to bring on more clients right now?
100%.
So with Galera Media, do you have a CIA Q&A? Like, how do people get started working with you? Like, how's the whole process?
No. So they fill out the form on our website, and then we'll go and we'll kind of do some discovery. And we need to make sure they have these elements. Now, they fill out a few of these elements when they fill out our form, so we can know whether or not it's a good use of time for them and for us. But for the most part, we're able to find out on a phone call if this is going to be a good fit or not. And so, yeah, we absolutely have the capacity for more clients. We're actively looking right now. We have a few that we're considering and a few that are going to take us on. And so, yeah, we're excited. Yeah, we're excited for where we're going.
Yeah, Mario, man, I'm so glad timing worked out, man. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah. Today, really worked out. I had some meetings that were postponed or that were pulled to this morning, so it made my afternoon free. And so, yeah, it worked out great, man. And this is cool. And during that intro, I meant it. I mean, that's, I was telling my wife, I was like, babe, you're never going to believe this. Like, guess who I ran into at this event? She's like, who? I'm like, well, it starts with my old partner. I led up to the story. And then I was like, and now he's invited me to, come to his studio. I honestly didn't know, if this was going to be a podcast or just a conversation. Turns out it's both at the same time.
Oh, do the both.
Which is great.
So for me, I mean, this is the way I wanted to have this run, is just to be able to sit down and talk to people. I don't know. That's ultimately.
It's amazing.
Now, how effective that is on SEO and optimization for YouTube, I don't know. But genuinely, I really enjoy like having conversations with people and like that. I got to get it set up to where I'm going to start going live on some of these. Just go live, throw some graphics on there. That switcher can handle the basics of it, and then on the back end, then we can chop up some stuff, and we could even do a more produced version. I don't know of the live, but I don't know if Candace. Do they do that with Candace's thing where she has her live, and then they do a more polished version, or it's just live and they're just cranking, just pushing through in the shorts?
I think their team is so good, their live version becomes their.
Well, they're basically like in a TV production. They're going live. They got a team there doing everything
basically
like a live TV show.
Basically, we have some clients who, we're on site and we help make sure that the, recording is acting like we're live. We're switching, we're taking care of the audio levels, right? But even after that, we'll still take it to post and we'll make sure it's even polished. Certain things are taken out or whatever we add in our intros, all that good stuff. So we'll handle it all really. And I think one of the last things I would say about people and like where they're at with podcasting, there's not really a bad way. Like, there's only a consistent way.
It's more the consistency.
It's key. It's
and
key.
Then that audience, the algorithm's going to push you out. It wants to, if you're putting content in consistently, it wants to find an audience for you. Mm-hmm. And as you build that audience and you can keep their trust, then that's really on you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. You want to just be consistent as you can. If you're on an iPhone and a DJI mic and you're recording yourself, hey, that's great. Just be consistent with it until you get some better equipment. You get the better equipment, then you're just consistent with that, right? It's all about consistency, and that's the tough part.
Well, even that guy, he started in his closet talking, right?
Right.
That's
encouraging.
He's just sitting in the closet. Well, because the reason the closet does the sound, it's muted with all the clothing. That's the reason, not just because he's hanging out in his closet, but the sound, it's like a sound booth because you got all the clothes in there, and the sound sounds clean.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think that's how he started, just talking in his closet or whatever, and then.
I've got a friend in Fort Worth who he's got a podcast, and he started in his I think it was his desk in his room, and he was doing just audio at first. Then he upgraded to recording from his laptop onto YouTube. And then now, like, he's got like a professional studio in South Fort Worth, and like it's got maybe like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, which, hey, that's great. Like, that's great. Like, even, you know, we deal with people that have like much larger audiences, but we know how hard that is to get that organically, and that's not easy. So like, but he was consistent. Like, throughout everything he was doing with his business, like, he was consistently doing that, and now he's got a great following, you know? So that's the key.
Well, reiterate. So you're saying twice a week for a long form podcast content would be more ideal-ish, even more if you can. I mean, almost like a...
No, the only reason I would say do more if you
because
can.
quality is always going to trump quantity, but at the same time, I think it's like a balancing of a scale. You want quantity, but you also want the quality. I don't know. It's a balance of...
Yeah, you want quantity and you want the quality of it, but there also is this really cool thing called like scarcity, and like creating this sense of like anticipation. Like, what are they going to talk about next? Oh, I can't wait until they talk about it. It's like, you know, have you ever heard this phrase, familiarity breeds contempt? That, you know, I think that's used more with people if you have a manager or if you have a family member and you're too familiar with them, it could breed some negative emotions, right? But I think if you have a good balance of putting out content consistently, but not putting yourself out there too much to where you're kind of like desperate for views or like, just look at me, right? You create this good balance of scarcity anticipation with consistent quality content. If you find a good middle ground there, I think it'll help people feel like, man, I can't wait for them to come out with something because, you know, it's going to be good. But also I'm confident Monday night, 8 p.m., throwing out a random day, Monday night, 8 p.m., I know I'm going to be able to see what they put together, and I'm so looking forward to it, right? So don't overdo it, but create some anticipation and consistency so your audience knows when they're going to get it, right?
Very cool. Mario, hey, man, dropped a lot of gems of knowledge on that. Thanks again for your time today.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on, man. This was great.
Yeah, we'll get you, hopefully, get you some business out of this. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you.
So, of course, man. Dude, thank you for having me. This is solid. Yeah.